Aquarius, welcome to your January 2018 love reading. It's raining here. Just shuffling the cards. I'm getting that Four of Swords. It seems like a lot with these love readings. So it seems like it's saying that people need to spend time alone. Maybe they've been trying to deal with things by involving other people. So the heart of the matter is the Seven of Cups. So something I feel like for some of you Aquarians, now you notice I'm using words like some, I think, because this is a general reading. I'm not going to be able to appeal to everybody across the board, but this is just based on these particular cards with the people that it makes sense to. That this is a card of many choices and, you know, confusion in some cases where, I mean, it depends. If you're somebody who's single, you may have this sense of the world being your oyster. If you're in a marital situation, you're kind of feeling like you're not sure what you should do, what you should choose, you know, what step you should take. Because I have in the past position the Four of Pentacles, and this is like a very stable kind of an energy or influence. So it's almost like getting married thinking that everything is just going to be totally predictable in a good way, you know, that you can just go on about your life, and then something happens that causes you to question that, where things all of a sudden are up in the air. The Seven of Cups connects a little bit to, I mean, I think it connects to Neptune, and so I'm thinking of like Pisces that's ruled by Neptune, where illusion can play into things. So, you know, if you have these fantasies about what it is that you are expecting from a relationship, and it's really not coming out that way. So the Four of Pentacles may be you making that commitment to a person, and then after you make that commitment, whether it's marriage or otherwise, and I'm thinking it is marriage for a lot of you because we have this card that's connected to the Justice. So it's like, you know, almost like, okay, call the divorce lawyer. But it's like, it's almost like, what do they call that? Where it's false advertising. Where someone presented themselves as one thing and they turned out to be another. The Seven of Cups, I'll show this card again because it's kind of funny. If you look at some of those cups, you know, there's a snake and there's this weird, I don't know what the heck, pterodactyl? I don't know what that thing is. But it's like you may have thought that you're getting one thing and you got another when it comes to another person. And of course, if the person's like a borderline personality, they really can do that. And they can do so very knowingly, knowing that they are misrepresenting themselves in whatever way. And not care because they're getting what they want. But you may have second thoughts as a result of dealing with somebody like that, and you may be a little bit confused. Oh man, now what do I do? And the Justice card is saying that for some people, you may have to just cut your losses, admit you made a mistake, and finalize a divorce. I mean, it all depends on the situation. Or the equivalent that restores balance to your life, because that person may be turning your life upside down. It can also deal with somebody who has addiction or mental health issues. So maybe you didn't know, you thought that they were more stable, you know. And I think of the Four of Pentacles, I think about someone, you're with somebody and they seem like everything's together, and then as soon as they move in with you, they lose their job. You realize that they are alcoholics, and you had no idea because you weren't living with them all the time. And it's like, oh my God, now what do I do? And sometimes you do have to just suck it up and admit that something else, that you miscalculated. Because you know what, quite frankly, I know that there are sociopaths out there who really lie about who they really are. But I still maintain that the people who supposedly get fooled by them, that a lot of times it's more like they didn't do their homework. They took everything at face value. And the person probably had some red flags that they gave off. And perhaps, you know, certain people don't want to see, you know, what kind of contradicts their rosy picture. So that's why sometimes this happens. And it's, you know, it happens. So it's nothing, it's not that big of a deal. You know, life is a journey. And sometimes we miscalculate, don't we? The higher message is the Five of Wands, and this is an example of what I'm talking about. This is a card of conflict. So if you have decided to, if you are confused about a relationship and you're pondering whether or not to end it, especially if it's of the legal variety, the higher message, the spiritual message, is about disharmony within the relationship. It's also a card of competition, so it can mean that one person is jealous of the other, envious of the other, and feels inferior to the other because they feel that they don't measure up in terms of their job or their, you know, whatever it is that they have, their status. They feel like it's not good enough for the other person. Now, typically, I would say that it would be another person towards you, because a lot of times Aquarians will not be so shallow that they will look down on somebody who is, you know, doesn't have the same pedigree or the same education level or the same income level. But, you know, if some of you have plants in Capricorn, that might be slightly altered. If you have Venus in Capricorn, for instance, you might be, you know, a lot more concerned about that than the average Aquarian. But in general, I would say that this is a card of conflict. So that's one of the red flags I'm talking about. When you notice that you may be physically attracted to the person and have that kind of connection that way, and then you just are always fighting otherwise, and you're just like, why are we always fighting? Well, it's because you really don't have anything in common with that person, and so you don't understand each other. And the physical part of that equation is not enough to sustain the rest of it. The Five of Wands can also indicate other people are involved. So in-laws, they may have been problematic in what do you call it, separating you from your partner, where they were interfering. I was going to say the grandmother from hell. I meant the mother-in-law from hell. It's not usually fathers-in-laws, right? It's usually the mother-in-laws that are the ones from hell. But even other people, you may feel like you're competing with somebody else for your partner's affection. where, you know, an ex, for instance, the mother of somebody's child, where you feel like that you kind of get this feeling like your partner still has a thing for him, or she has a thing for him, or he has a thing for her, or both. And that kind of makes you uncomfortable. What crosses you, well, this is the challenge position, is the Sun card. Now, actually, as I'm reading this as a reverse card, as a challenge position, this is actually not that bad, because this is delayed success. So perhaps you're looking for your life to, you know, your love life at least, to be in a certain place that it's not at the current state, but it could get there eventually when the timing is right. You're going to have, you know, the great thing about Aquarius is you're going to have a solar eclipse in your sign on February 15th. So that's like a very powerful new beginning in your life. This might be the month where a lot is kind of like, the debris is like burned away, because actually I didn't say this, on the last day of the month there's a blue moon in Leo. In Leo it's actually a lunar eclipse, very powerful full moon. So the eclipses happen end of January and into February, and mid-February. And Leo is your opposite sign, and therefore your 7th house of committed partnerships. So this is what I'm talking about here with these cards. And this could be something, again, you may feel like you're blindsided, but really, if you think about it, you will realize that it was really kind of doomed to begin with. And again, this is a general reading. If you have I always tell people, if your relationship is good, then, you know, you don't really have any need to be watching these in the first place, because these are for people that are either single or they are going through some kind of challenge in their relationship. If everything is hunky-dory, then live your life. You know, you don't have to, you know, you shouldn't be worried about whether something's going to go wrong unless you suspect something is off. And the Sun card is all about love. It's all about joy, healing, all of these things. It's just that in the challenged position, you're ending January with this this lunar eclipse in the house of committed partnerships. So it's like eclipses create instability. Things are shifting rapidly. So that love coming into your life may be delayed a little bit because of that. But it's not that it's not going to be there. The advice, the Four of Swords, is about rest, rejuvenation, reflection, taking a breather, not being engaged in the world. If you have problems in a relationship, thinking twice before talking to other people about it. Not that it's wrong to ever talk about your relationships, but sometimes it's good to just keep your own counsel, because when you get other people's feedback, it's their projection. It really it has nothing to do with whether or not whatever they think about life is good for you. Your life is your own journey. Yes, sometimes there may be people in your life who are very wise and you really respect their outlook, but even those people, they don't have the same journey as you. So there's no real reason why their insights are applicable to your particular situation. And it may be that, I think of like the air signs sometimes, of always like being in that mode of socializing and talking about things. And sometimes you have to go within and really reflect. It's a very passive thing. It's not an active behavior, and it can be really helpful to get in touch with what you want and separate it from what other people want around you. The outcome is a very positive card. The Six of Wands, card of victory, a card of recognition. This could be like career related. So it could be, but it could also be, if we're going to just look at it in terms of your love life, this could be that you end up, oh, it's interesting because I think this is connected to Leo. And so is the Sun card. So if there's a Leo person, or they have a strong Leo makeup, that person may end up in your life. And it's funny, I even got that another Wands for the higher message. Sometimes with the higher message, it's like saying, this is the person who is the right one for you. Maybe the Four of Pentacles was an earth sign individual, or a very earthy person who you thought was what you needed, but you found out that they were not really compatible with you. Earth energy is very stable, but for Aquarius, you tend to mesh better with a fire sign. So if that's the case, if that's what's going on, then it would make perfect sense that you would be with somebody like a fire sign individual. The other fire signs besides Leo are Sagittarius and Aries. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this, Aquarius. And if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have an awesome January. Bye.